So let's start. I'm going to quickly start with the introduction. So first of all, I'm an Upwork Ambassador. My name's Kata. I'm hosting today's topic. And a little bit about me. I've been freelancing myself for the past 8 years. My background is in marketing and in project management. Also joining us today is Alon. Alon, can you pronounce your last name for me to make sure that I get it right?
It's a hard one. It's Nahmana.
Nahmana. Okay. Alon Nahmana, who is a top-rated plus Google Ads expert and the founder and CEO of BoostMe, which is an agency that specializes in driving sales and businesses to small, medium, and big companies. So today we're going to be talking about how to work with great clients on Upwork. You'll hear about Alon's journey, how he started, how he's doing things differently now versus then, and what he's learned along the way. I'm going to let Alon take over, give his introduction, and go, take it from here.
Thank you, Kata. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. It's been quite a journey on Upwork, and I just talked to Kata right before this meeting, and we've talked about the fact that whenever we started freelancing, we didn't really have these sessions to learn from. So I'm really happy to be here and share some knowledge with people that are just starting their journey on Upwork. We're going to talk about how did I start, how did I get my first few jobs, how did the journey start, what type of decisions do you need to make, or what type of data points you should be looking at whenever working with clients on Upwork, and then basically how to really take a look at this data and focus down and understand what are the type of clients that you want to work with, what type of clients you're going to be able to provide with quality work. And at the end of the day, you know, really enjoy the journey because it is fun. So really about the entire thing is going to be how to work with better clients. Am I controlling the presentation? You are.
No. Let me know when you want me to switch.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So a little bit about me. I've been on Upwork for about 3.5 years, April 2018. I really remember the day that I joined Upwork. I don't know why it's strongly in my memory, but it's there. So I've been on Upwork for 3.5 years. I've worked with a bunch of clients. I'm a top-rated plus. I've done about 60 projects. About a year or two ago, I started BoostMe. We are a performance marketing agency that specializes in small, medium, and large businesses. We basically started as a Google Ads for lead generation clients. Before I was freelancing and before I was doing Google Ads, I used to live in the United States. I had a locksmith company that I was running. This is how I started my journey with Google Ads. And I really knew the lead generation, home services industry from the inside. So it was really easy for me to start advertising for these type of businesses. So really the first year or two of BoostMe was about serving locksmith clients, which was really interesting. Now we're leaning more towards e-commerce. I think the entire game changed since Corona. Way more e-commerce, way more retail sales, B2C that is very flourishing right now. So our entire agency goes towards e-commerce. We're still doing some lead generation, but for very specific businesses. I think that's all about me. Kata, I think we can move on to the next slide. So how I started. It's a question that I get asked a lot from a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my friends, and I know that it's also an issue for everyone else on the platform. How do you get your first job? How do you get your first client? And whenever I just started, I would say my goal was to generate as much as reviews as I could possibly get, so I can build some credibility and I could build some rapport, and having people to see what type of work I can provide for them and what are the results that I could generate. And right at the beginning, I literally took every job that I could possibly take. If I knew how to do it, I'll do it. So marketing, like today I'm doing Google Ads, but at the beginning I took jobs that are more related to how to track conversions on the website. Let's do a one-on-one so you can explain me how Google Ads work, I'll take it. Build reports, I'll take it. So I really took everything that I could. And it's funny, before this presentation, I went to my profile and I was looking at the first jobs that I was doing. And it was very small jobs, like not something that I would do right now. My focus really changed, and I'm going to talk about it. But the first few jobs that I took was $100, $50, $20, really trying to get the foot in the door and trying to collect these reviews, put yourself out there, and obviously make sure that you can actually deliver for these jobs that you're applying to. And I think it's really important for people to do this step and don't focus on like what you want in like 3 years. Start from somewhere. Start from somewhere and start collecting these reviews. And you're gonna see that you're gonna work with all kinds of people. You're gonna work with good clients, you're gonna work with better clients, with bad clients, with different roles within the companies that you're gonna work with different freelancers. And I think this is really the time where you're gonna start exploring and really understanding what's gonna work for you. What's gonna work for you as a freelancer, what is good for you, what is right for you, and where you can shine, where you can actually take what you do and first of all enhance it. So if you see that there is a demand for a specific type of, I don't know, a copywriter for X, right, for like specific industry. If you see that you can be a graphic designer for, I don't know, for a auto repair shops, right? So once you really see that there is a demand for something, focus on that, niche down, understand what you can do better. Like, first of all, improve yourself as far as like the type of work that you do. And then it's really going to be easier for you to market yourself and put yourself as a professional for this type of jobs. Kata, if you have any questions, you know, you can feel free to stop me.
Just if you want me to switch the slide.
Okay, fair. So really a lot of work at the beginning. I think for the first year or two, I just took everything. B2B, B2C, working with attorneys, working with SaaS companies, working with local services, working with e-commerce. And at the end of the day, I really found out that if you really want to be professional and you want to do something that you want to do it good, right? I want to do my job the best. And it's very hard to focus on everything. It's very hard to focus on everything. You need to make sure that you can be a professional in what you do. And the more you're going to niche down, the better results you could provide for your clients and the better focus you can have on your profile. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in the future. And basically from these, after you start receiving some work and you start collecting some reviews and you're working with some people, you should take a look at what works for you. What are the industries that you want to work with? What are the industries that you can provide good work, right? Sometimes working with one industry is, I want to work with that, but maybe I don't really know how to provide good results for that. right? So I found out that as a marketing agency, we're not the best at SaaS. We're not the best at B2B. That's fine. You know, now we can shift our focus more on B2C, on clients. And I think I think that was like one of my major breakthrough when I needed to understand what works for me and what doesn't, and where I shouldn't be wasting my time. Because a lot of times, if you're getting job in something that you don't really feel comfortable in, it's wasting a lot of time, it's wasting a lot of resources, and I feel like it's creating a lot of frustrations on both sides, you and the client that you want to work with. It is essential for the progress to experience that, you know, dip your toe in the water and make sure that you do understand what type of industries that you want to work with. But I think that once you do understand, focus on that niche and go full power on it. Another thing that I learned in the process is how businesses are structured and at what stage are you going to engage with them. So just to give you some examples, at the beginning, I used to work with a lot of companies where they have a marketing manager and then they're just trying to find someone to outsource their Google ads to. I found out that a lot of times these marketing managers feel like I'm trying to steal their work, and the relationship was very tense. It was very, very tense. I love to not only do my work, but also suggest on other things and other projects that we can do. As a marketing person, I have understanding in other things. We only do Google ads, but I also have understanding on how marketing works. And I love sharing ideas with my clients. And I found out a lot of times that with marketing managers, it will be very, very challenging because, hey, this is my role and you're coming to take it. And this is what I do. So this is also something that was extremely important for me in the learning progress to, I wouldn't say not at all work with marketing managers, but make sure that our expectations are aligned and make sure that each one of us get the role and really like take them with me rather than creating this tension between us. So that was the big one. Another big thing, another big learning for me was to understand what type of businesses I want to engage with and at what stage. So just to give you an example, with Google Ads, today or even before that, these days you can basically apply for two types of jobs if I'm really trying to generalize it. One is to set up an account from scratch, new business, they're trying to explore and check the ground, see if their product could work. And another type of job that is in the market is for audits, meaning clients already advertising with Google, they experience some kind of results and they're usually trying to make it better. At the beginning, I used to take a lot of clients and start it from scratch, do the keyword research, do the ad copy. And a lot of time you can do everything by the book and you can do everything that, everything within your role. So you're doing your job on a perfect side. But on the other hand, did the client really check the product? Is the website working? Like there are so many other aspects into marketing, and you need to make sure that your client did their role, which is to make sure that they have a website that is running accurately, the checkout process works good, the loading speed is fine, the product actually sells, like people actually want your product. And a lot of times I found out that my clients didn't do this research and they were counting on me to figure out everything. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it really worked, but a lot of times I would say most of the times it didn't work. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like don't take clients that hasn't done any advertising, but today I am like, if a client didn't do Google ads at all, I would want them to at least experience in other markets or in other channels like Facebook or email, or show somewhat proof of concept, right? So if I'm trying to scope out from the Google ads world and really trying to give you a tip, is I'm sure that in every industry, there are a type of jobs where clients are in a different stage. So try to understand what type of stage works for you. If you can, I don't know, if you're a copywriter and you need to create an ad copy from scratch, this is something that you can really do well, or you need to have more of a research that's come from the client that you need to adjust by it. So really try to understand where are you in this progress, and I think that's really going to help on focusing not only on your profile, but also on the type of jobs that you're applying to. And I think that the last part with this, it's make sure that you can really help them. You know, please do, like, don't apply to jobs that you cannot help them. I can say myself that I'm also hiring on Upwork, and not only freelancing. So I really know both ends, and I really know what to expect. And a lot of times I'm getting job applications for people that cannot really help me. A lot of time it feels like a copy paste of of a proposal that they wrote back in the days. Doesn't even relate to my topic. Like it's sometimes it's funny how non-related it is. So please don't copy paste. Take your time, write your proposals, make sure that you're applying on jobs that you can actually provide some value for these clients. I think that's it for this slide. Cool. So if I'm taking you with the journey that I had, so I began with applying to any type of job to collect reviews, to build my reputation on Upwork. In this process, I really understood who my clients are. Who do I want to work with? I found out that I don't want any SaaS companies. I don't want any lawyers. I want either local services or e-commerce businesses. This is what I do the best. And this is where I'm going to focus. Also, when a client comes to me today, I really know how to serve them really well because they are coming from these two industries that I'm really familiar with. I know the structure. I know how the onboarding process works. I know what questions to ask. So this is really important to understand who your clients that you want to work with. I understood how I want the companies to be structured. I understood that I want to work with the CEOs rather than in the marketing manager. If it is a marketing manager, how can I work with him, right? And I think one of another breakthrough that I had was to understand that I want to work with clients that has a proof of concept. I don't want to waste my time. And it's true for me, but maybe not true for you, right? And I want to make sure that my clients done their research. I want to know that they are invested in this project. And I want to understand that they know that it's not, all right, let's give this project to Alon and he's going to take care of everything. No, we must work together in here. And then once I know that this is the type of relationship that I want, and I know that right now I'm more focused on taking clients that already doing their Google ads and right now they're looking to improve their results. Think about how can you position yourself to solve the client's problem. How can you position yourself? How can you create a profile that stand out for the exact people that looking for you? If you're going to look at my profile right now, I'm not talking about Google Ads setups. It used to be about 2 years ago. I used to have, I had like a long a profile that was talking about what I'm going to do with the setup. If it's not the type of jobs that I want, there is really no need for me to put it out there. So right now I'm talking about how can I improve your results when doing an audit, right? So really creating a profile that is talking to the people that you want as clients. As part of as a relationship of that, you only need to bid on the type of jobs that you want. So really think about it as right now, the first page of my profile is being assembled from only work or only type of jobs that I want to focus on right now. And it's a process, right? Like once you're starting with a lot of reviews and then you're understanding your type of audience and you're understanding the type of businesses that you want to work with. And then you start focusing slowly. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to need a lot of patience. I've been on Upwork for 3.5 years. I really can say that the last year has been significant for me. But it did require a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error. Not only on the personal level of how can I do my job better, but also on how can I position myself for better clients. How can I make sure that I provide results to the clients that I want? And I really make sure to only bid right now for jobs that I want, and jobs that not only jobs that I want, jobs that I want to collect a good review on, right? Because I know that the next client that is going to come, I want them to see this great review on Upwork, because I know that it's going to build a better reputation for me. Next slide, I think. All right, two of the most important thing. I couldn't stress enough both of them. So the first one, don't send proposals. And again, this is something that I learned it the hard way. Don't send proposals that are basically your resume. All right. To be honest, nobody cares what you've done for the past years. I care on how you're going to solve the problem that I have right now. If I need a content writer for my new website, talk to me about the experience that you have on how you wrote ad copy, or how you wrote content for a new website that just launched. If I'm looking for a graphic designer for a marketing agency, I don't care about the graphic design that you've done for, I don't know, for this other website that is extremely not related to my niche. Show me examples from a relevant work that you work within the industry. And it's really connecting to what I said in the beginning. If you're really going to focus and do few things that you're really good at, you're going to have more and more examples to show from this very relevant niche that you want to focus. So it's kind of like it's feeding itself, right? And you're really catching momentum the more you go and the more clients you get. And again, the start is never easy, but I can assure you that once you do get these few jobs and keep on trying, because the first few jobs are the hardest. They are the hardest. You're gonna struggle a lot at the beginning, but after that, I promise that it gets easier. So really send proposal that solves the problem. Don't send this long copy paste it's very tiring to read. I can say that as well as someone that is hiring on Upwork, I immediately ignore them. immediately. You can see that it's a copy paste. So please don't do that. And I would say that the last thing and the most important one is say no. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to come to a position where you say no to a client, but it's so important that you don't waste your time and energy on things that are just not gonna work. Trust your intuition. A lot of times I took jobs that I was like, it's not exactly what I do, but I think that I can provide some good results. And it ended up as being like a total waste of time for me, for the client. And I learned that to say no, it puts you in a great position. It saves you a lot of time for projects that you can actually deliver and not gonna waste your time. I think few more things that I can add on how to work with better clients is really take the time to check the clients that you want to work with. You can really see their job history and what other freelancers are talking about them. Kata, I think you talked about it in the session that we had on Tuesday, that if you do see a client that is getting a lot of negative, or not a lot, but some negative feedback, think about us as a freelancer, like how much effort do we actually need to go and put to write a review on a client, right? It's like a lot of troubles, and if someone is doing that, it probably means something. So keep an eye on that and make sure that if not all, 90% of the reviews are positive and are talking about the experience working with the client.
Yeah, I want to add on that point just quickly, because I just remembered actually as you were saying this, that at some point a client or potential possible client reached out to me, and their message was essentially that they worked with 14 other marketing agencies before, and none of them did anything right. So that was like, for me, the moment I decided this is not going to be the client that I want to work with.
I wonder
because
why.
if you work, yeah, because if you worked with 14 other agencies and all of them were horrible, it might be that the problem was not with them, you know? So you want to be careful of the types of clients that kind of see the negative in everybody else around them and don't take kind of responsibility, you know, for their own part of the business.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I really like what you said, is just like take responsibility for your business, because yes, a lot of times I got this vibe of like, all right, I outsource it to you. Now everything needs to work like that, and it's going to be magic, and everything is going to be unicorns and rainbows, and you're going to make my brand super profitable. No, you need to put some work into that too. You know, we need to have the system of like, it's a feedback, right? Like, how can we improve our communication? How can we learn better about your product? What's like, your client know the business they're the best, and a lot of time, even for them, it seems kind of obvious that you know what needs to be done, but it's not. Like, how can you know what to do if you don't have all the information? And feel free to like ask your clients a lot of questions. And if they don't know how to answer that, maybe they're not the best fit. Good clients know to answer the questions that needs to be asked. I can say that. I think that's it. I think it was shorter than expected, but
no, that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Thank you for the introduction, because we're now just gonna start taking everybody's questions. And I just wanted to add a couple of things before we start with the questions. I'm just gonna pull them up real quick. But a common theme that I noticed here, and it's funny because you actually asked me before we started, what's my main, what's the number one lesson that I've learned as a freelancer over the past 8 years? And it's funny that I realized that the answer that I gave you is essentially the same thing that you were talking about in your presentation, which is that being selective is super, super important. And I can't stress that enough. It's and this doesn't just apply to people who are working in marketing, but for anything. Your profile matters, and you aren't always like the only deciding factor in whether or not a project is going to be successful. If you're in marketing, as Alon has said, the clients still have to, if your job is to bring traffic to a website, the client still has to have a good website in order for your campaigns to be effective. Likewise, if you are on the other side, if your job is to design websites, it's then your client's task to bring traffic to it. You can't do everything. You can't make the website and bring the traffic and make the sales and handle the communication and everything, right? So that's basically somebody trying to outsource their entire business to you, which is a bit like, well, then why not build it yourself and run it yourself? So being selective and properly choosing the clients that you work with is such an important thing for freelancers, I believe. And I also I see that we've gotten this question at least a couple of times or more, and it's a question that we often get. So I wanted to ask you how you would address it as well, because the question is around pricing. And, people are saying here, in some cases, I even try to have like a very low price and I didn't get hired, or they're asking whether they should lower their prices to be hired. So what's your take on that? About setting your prices?
Such a good question. I can say that this is something that I've been experiencing with myself. Obviously, these days I'm charging way more than I charged at the beginning. I think that for me, pricing is a little bit different because I don't do project on an hourly basis anymore. With marketing, it's something that is very hard to do. I mean, I know that some people do that. It's just not something that works for me. But I do have a placeholder of $70, and it used to be $40 when I just started. That I want. These are the type of clients that I want. Like I could say that I started with 40 because this is what I wanted. Before that, don't put a price that is too low. Okay? Because if you're gonna put a price that is too low, me as a hiring manager, I'll be like, all right, this is what this person think about himself. Is probably not as good as I need, at least, right? And it really depends on what type of work do you do, what's the complexity of the project. It depends on million other things. What I would recommend is don't start with a floor price, but start with a lower price that will get you engaged and will give you some type of work. And then if you're asking yourself, all right, cool, when is like, I want to increase my prices. I started getting some job, I start getting some work. When do I increase my prices? I would say that once you're fully booked and once you don't have much more place to bring new clients, this is the time to increase your prices. And this is where you're going to get the most value for money. Because cool, right now I worked at $40 an hour, I'm fully booked, a new client comes in, I want it to be worth it for me. I want to be on $70 per hour. And it worked, cool. It didn't work, it's also cool. You're gonna find out that once you're gonna feel comfortable with the pricing that you put, it's gonna be so much easier for you to sell it. Because if you're gonna put a price that you're not comfortable with, you're not gonna sell it. Unless you're an extremely good salesperson. But I really believe that, once it comes from the inside and with your confidence and with what you know that you're capable of doing, this process is going to be more organic for you and easier.
Yeah. And also something to add here, in terms of, my advice is personally never to look at your price as your competitive differentiator. Never use price as the thing that you think is going to get you the client. It should never be that. It should be your unique fit or your approach or your process or the way that you work or your specialty, as Alon has said, with working with specific types of clients that wins you the job, and never the price. Because I'm sure that this applies to Alon as well. He can confirm if otherwise, but I myself I don't think I've ever had the lowest bid on a project in my life. And I'm sure there are a lot of freelancers who can say the same. And we're still getting work, so it's not ever about having the lowest price on the table, because what clients come for at the end of the day is well, first of all, the amount that you're charging needs to fall within your budget. So this can also be a matter of selecting the types of clients who can afford to work with you, depending on what your rates are. But it's really what people are coming for is who's the best, person for the job that I can afford. So it's only the last thing on people's minds really is the affordability issue, because first you have to be a really good choice for the project. And if you are, the question is, can they afford you? And if not, that just means, you need to be selective about the type of client you work with, because there's clients of all sizes on the marketplace, and you'll find ones that can pay higher rates as well.
I agree. And I think the first filter that clients are doing is they're not looking at the prices. They're looking at, all right, how is this person can solve my job? Like, can solve my problem? Does he have the experience needed, right? Like, did he do any similar project? And only then they're looking at the prices. And another thing on prices, someone can do 1 hour for $100 or 50 hours for $5, right? Who are you gonna pick? Like, the hourly rate means something, but I don't know. I'm speaking personally. For me, it doesn't mean anything. You can have the lowest rate possible, but it's gonna take you 20 times more than someone else. So is this really gonna be cheaper? I'm not sure. And I definitely think that this is something that clients calculates when they're trying to find something.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And this also factors into the type of clients, like when, let's say, like yourself, I also hire freelancers for clients all the time. And when you can kind of afford to pick on the higher end of freelancers, what you're looking at is, will I need to give them a lot of explanations on how to do their jobs, or will they already will they already be experienced in this field and really be able to just take it and run with it? Because I care about saving up some of my own time. When I'm hiring somebody, I don't want to be the person who teaches them how to do their jobs. I want them to just to just do it for me, essentially. So yeah, I definitely agree that clients factor this in, and that sometimes, even though you're paying somebody with a higher rate, it's actually going to cost less in the end, because they don't need as many explanations. They don't need to spend as much time as somebody else would. They don't need to test as much as somebody else would. And they might just be able to give you their answer faster. And even with small jobs, I've noticed this. I remember giving some small jobs to people with low rates because they were easy. And they kept coming back with asking a bunch of questions and trying to do it 100 different ways. And I didn't need that. I just need a very simple, quick thing, Yep. So it's really, the rate is kind of the last one. Yeah, somebody's okay, let's see here. A few more questions. So interestingly, I'm getting some questions about setting up an agency. One person asked, and I think maybe we can tackle both, but one person asked, what to do if they have a couple of agencies. So for here, my recommendation is set up agency accounts for those separately if you want to keep them separate. And somebody asked, what are your recommendations in terms of setting up a successful agency? Like what are the things to keep in mind, first steps, etc.?
Wow, a whole world. It's a good question. Find good people. Find good people. Don't mess around with cheap people that gonna waste your time and gonna waste your money. And create processes. I would say that these are the two most important things. Create processes, create SOPs, make sure to train your people properly.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep taking questions. I just want to add one thing because we're nearing our last 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna paste this link. It's to our feedback survey. If you want to take a minute and just leave your feedback around what you thought of this event, if you liked it, etc. That'll help us a lot, and it'll only take a minute. All right, so I'm going to see. Let's see what other questions do we have here. I actually wanted to also ask you, because we've talked quite a bit about being selective. Can you give me an example of, like, not specific examples, but if there are either favorite clients that you've had that have influenced how you're selecting your clients now, and if there are any specific red flags that you learn about from your past clients that now, when you see that specific red flag, you're like avoiding that particular job.
Yeah. All right. Two things. Red flags. I think it's something that everyone is saying. People that are asking for discounts. Now, don't get me wrong. In Israel, we love to bargain. All right. We really, it's like part of our culture. So I kind of appreciate a good bargain on the price. But it needs to be done correctly, and it needs to be done in a respectful way. And if someone just trying to lower the price all the time, man, it's gonna be hard. Like, this is in the sale process where he needs you. Imagine what happens when you need to ask for the money. And I had one experience, I think it was a few months ago on Upwork, and it was a client that really asked for a lot of discounts. And I was like, you know what? I really know that I can provide you good results. So we did a discount. We did the deal. Like, he asked for more discount. I was like, okay, let's just go ahead and start the project. And we kind of like I set expectation. We set up the milestones. I was really like, I knew that I had to define exactly what each process or each step meant. And then he started adding some action items, and he started adding some stuff. And he was like, no, until this is not finished, you're not getting a setup work. I was like, buddy, bye-bye. So I think that something important to also learn is don't drag it. If you see that it's not gonna work, kill it while you can. And that was a good experience. It was a learning experience. Like, I kind of knew that it's gonna be a bad experience, but I went to it anyway. And I kind of like reassured myself that I knew that it's gonna be a bad experience. So trust your intuition better. This is what I learned from it. And a good client, for me, what I found out is that the clients that I work the best are people that know marketing. A lot of my clients doing their Facebook and want a Google Ads guy, because Google Ads can be way more technical than Facebook. So these entrepreneurial guy know Facebook, they know marketing, they know how it works, right? So a lot of my clients these days are doing some kind of like different marketing activity, and I'm coming to help them as, first of all, another brain into this whole marketing channel, and secondly, the guy who is actually going to take care of their Google Ads. And it's clients that I have good connection on the personal level. The last client that I onboarded from Upwork, on one of the last clients, we literally like after we signed on the contract, we literally just like spent an hour chatting on who we are, what we do, and it was just really, really fun. And once you know who these people are, it's easier to find them.
Yeah, that's another thing that, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I only started to appreciate this quite a while into my career. It's how well do you actually get along with the client? But this has now become so important, because clients that you have a good relationship with and you actually have good conversations with, it's, with like-minded people, you're more likely to work long-term and have a great time and really enjoy what you do. And you understand each other better.
It's so much easier, and you have so much trust with you. Like, once you get along on the personal level, everything is easy.
Yeah. I have at least a couple of clients now who, we have these weekly meetings, and we spend about half of them not even talking about work, because we kind of, it's easy to get on the same page with work, and
Yep.
it's just, they're nice people. So it's really great to keep this in mind as well, and also ties in again, to being selective. Here's an interesting question. And I've seen it come up at least a couple of times. It's, how do you increase your hourly rate while actively working on a project? Have you had experiences like that? I have some notes I can add on that as well. What do you think?
I don't really recall. As I said, personally, I don't work with hourly rates, but I think that I can give some kind of advice. Just compliment yourself. Hey, back in the days when we just started, I was just starting to get some work on Upwork. I was doing my job on X quality. Now I do my job better. So if the client asks you, hey, why did you used to charge less? You can say, I'm just way better now. And I can provide you with better results than I previously provided for my past client when we just started.
And by the way, this is extremely common. So for people who are concerned about this, in anything you do, even if you're an employee, if you're a freelancer, in virtually anything you do, it's absolutely normal for the value of your work to grow over time, because you're becoming more experienced, you know how to do things better, you get faster at what you do, you learn better processes, you learn from your mistakes. So it's absolutely normal to increase your rates over time. And I don't think that people will be wondering why you increased your rates quite as often as you think. I haven't really had people ask me that question, even though I have increased my rates over time. So it's just people to kind of realize that it's normal. If I was working on something a year ago, that was last year, and this year it's normal for me to ask differently. And also in terms of increasing, whether it's your hourly rates with an existing client, or whether it's your fixed price but ongoing work with existing clients, I would say that so at one point a while ago, I had this discussion with some people who are experts in negotiation. That's what they do for a living. They teach and learn and work with people to negotiate. And their advice that stuck with me there was kind of, just think of all the scenarios where this could go. You want to increase your rates, and then start asking yourself questions. Is this mandatory to you? Will you want to continue working with this client if they don't agree to your rate increase? And if the answer is no, then great, you have nothing to lose. You should ask for the rate increase, or maybe it's no longer the client that you want to have. But if the answer is yes, even if they're not willing to increase my rates, I like to continue working with them, then think, okay, so once you've asked them, once you've told them that you want your rates to increase, this can go a number of ways. They can just say yes, great, and then you increase your rates, perfect. Or they can say, if they have any kinds of concerns about it, or if they can't afford or anything like that. And you can just prepare for that and know. So if they say no, what's either my counter offer, or what will I say? Like in some cases, maybe you'll say, okay, we can continue working for the same price if you can't afford to pay more, but I'm going to have to, either reduce the amount of time that I spend on this, or we're going to have to reestablish what tasks I'm specifically going to work with, or if they're open to an increase, but not the amount that you said, same thing, what are they open to increasing it to, and how much work or what tasks are you willing to do in order to keep them as clients, right? So don't look at this as, well, if they say no, then that's it. It's the end. I've lost this client. That's not necessarily the case. You just need to prepare for that second follow-up question that they might have. And then you have nothing really to fear about starting the discussion with them.
And I feel like whenever you are ready for a price increase, I would say basically based on the recommendation that I give. So like whenever you're full with work, and I think this is the time to increase your price. I think your attitude will be like, hey, this is what we need to do right now. I work more. I do my job greatly. And I'm sure that if you are still working with this client, you are providing some good results for him. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be working together. So I think this is something that you can definitely try. And like Kata said, ask these questions and see if this is something that you want to do.
Yeah. And here another question is, would you recommend a freelancer join an agency or stick it out as a freelancer? So here I think that it depends. I myself have worked with agencies in the past, and now I'm hiring for clients. And we have Alon on the other side, who you've been a freelancer, now you have your own agency. So let me know what your experience is with that as well. Do you
I would say
what do you say
that,
to freelancers?
yeah, definitely. When I started as a freelancer, I used to work with few agencies. So definitely give it a try. See, maybe this is something that could work good for you. I think that it was something that was extremely essential for the growth that I had career-wise, working with way more clients that you would be exposed as a freelancer. So imagine starting to work with an agency that already have like 20 clients, right? And I was so exposed to different market, different industries, different type of clients. You working with another agency that has been in the market for quite a while. They know what they're doing. But basically they do, and work with them until it's not working for you. This is what happened to me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I found out, all right, this is enough for me. It doesn't worth my time. It was my time for a price increase, I would say. We did kind of like kind of a deal between us where we split the profits. And I was at the point of, okay, this is taking 70% of my time. And if I could do it by myself, which now I have the ability to, because my profile looks better, I know what type of clients I want, I know how to catch these clients that I want. Sure, at the beginning, it's going to be a hard transition and I'm going to lose some momentum and some money, but looking on the long run, it is a smarter move for me. So definitely give it a try, see if it works for you, see if this is something that could benefit you. I can say that it's easier to work with an agency. You don't have this stress of getting new clients all the time. So it is nicer.
Yeah. And that saves you time too.
Yeah, definitely. And that pros and cons, like everything else.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's one of those things where you don't have to do one or the other. You know, an agency can be one of your clients, and you can continue to work with other clients separately. So I think that, you know, and as Alon has said, I've also been there. I've also been working with agencies and clients directly. And with agencies, what I liked about working with them is that we had this very easy understanding. They knew exactly what to expect because they were a marketing agency themselves. I knew exactly what I had to do, and it removed it was like this consistent ongoing work because they were the ones who had to deal with fighting clients constantly and booking them and everything, and they just gave me work, you know. So for a time, and even for a lot of time, it can be a great choice for freelancers. So if you find clients that you want to work with directly, great, but there's no reason, I think, to discount working with agencies, because they can really be a good client if they're a good agency, because they understand the industry, you know, and you won't have to explain it to them.
To add on that, I think that once you, like, if you do want to have your own agency at some point, I don't know, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, working in an agency is something that you need to know how it works. You need to know like the politics. You need to know how companies are structured. And I was like, before I started freelancing, I was working as an aide. Like, I've done my Google Ads course for 6 months, and then I started working in an agency for about a year, and it's been extremely beneficial for me. I learned a lot. I wouldn't say that it taught me a lot about how agencies needs to be structured. This is only something that I learned after working with other agencies. But it's definitely something that's helping me with not only what to do, but what not to do. I think that these are the best lessons that you could have. How not to operate, which clients not to work with, what type of processes in an agency you don't want to have. And I think that this is a good tip for all of you. Don't only look at like what you can learn to do, but also what to not do. And I think these are the best lessons that I've learned in my professional and personal life, is what not to do.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's a good call out. You know, I also have a very similar experience of, there were things that I really enjoyed about working with agencies, but there were also things that were time consuming and added no value whatsoever, you know? So it's really good to be able to see things from both perspectives before you try to go your own way with that. All right, and here, so a kind of a general question that is around, getting your first clients, and a lot of several people have commented with their particular challenges in terms of getting their first clients. So I would say that there is not one thing that you have to do or not do. There's quite a few, So what I would say is, if you want to learn more about really going in depth into how to create the perfect profile and how to set up proposals and things like that, we have two webinars that were done to cover this specific topic. I think they're 1 or 1.5 hours each. So I encourage you to check out the recordings for those as well, because you'll find a ton of information there too. It's upwork.com/community/events. I'll send you the link right now. You can find our recordings there, because we're going to have to wrap up our meeting for today. So yeah, if you want to keep exploring this topic more and learning more about it, I encourage you to check out our other previous events as well. Let me just paste it here in the chat. So there's a past events area where you'll be able to find it. And you'll also find there the recording for this webinar as well. Okay, let me see. We'll take, I think, one more question and then wrap it up. So here's an interesting question. How do you send proposals that solve the client's problem if they haven't given you adequate information in the job description? I think this is a really easy answer, but Alon, go ahead.
Is it? I think it's a hard one. It's a good question. I mean, first of all, you can take a look at the client and see what is doing, right? Some clients do provide like their website. Some clients do provide, like, you can see in the job history what type of jobs did they hire before they did hire you. I think most clients they do kind of say what they need. They, like, if not in, okay, I need to solve my Google Ads problem, they're saying, hey, I need better results for my Google Ads. So how can I personalize my proposal to show that I can solve his Google Ads problem, right? He probably wants more money. So how can I increase the profitability? I think that's my take on it. Kata, I think you have a better insight.
No, not a better one. I think that yours makes perfect sense. So my easy answer was, if the client doesn't give you enough information, ask for more information. That's the easy answer. You can always ask for more information. So I think that quite often people will give you at least a general idea of what they're looking for, enough for you to be able to say, at least on a very general level, the type of problems that you can help solve based on your previous experience. Just as Alon has said, use any information that you have. But you can also be in your response as vague as they are, essentially. If they gave you vague level of details, you can be vague as well and ask for more info to be able to give them a better answer, or to ask them to schedule a call with you in order for you to be able to discuss the topic in person directly. So yeah. And then on the flip side of that, if you have a client who's really taking the time to write a detailed description and really knows exactly what he's looking for, those are the types of clients that will very likely be looking for a detailed answer in return. And if they took the time to tell you what their problem is specifically, it's very likely because that's exactly what they want to hear. How are you going to solve this specific problem? Rather
and
than,
clients as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Because if someone's just posting a job post with like 3 words, hey, I need help, this is probably how much time he's willing to invest into that.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, sometimes, quite often I avoid those types of projects, but it depends. Here, I want to be careful because I also know a lot of freelancers who have said they've taken jobs like that and they had a great experience with the client, jobs that were initially generic. So for me, often I really like to focus on the ones that are detailed. This doesn't mean that that's the answer for everybody, So at the end of the day, it's also about your specific style and the type of people that you like to work with and the process of getting to the point where you're working with them. All right. Well, we have a ton of more questions, but unfortunately we're out of time, guys. But thank you so much for joining us. You can see the recording, as I've said, and you can also hopefully answer some of your other questions if you go to upwork.com/community/events and see some of our past events. Alon, thanks so much for joining and for answering some questions today and for sharing your experience. Yeah, it was fun for me as well. Thank you for joining, and thank you everybody. And I hope to see you in our next events.
Good luck, guys. Bye.